welcome to the Lincolnshire Buzzcast, a podcast where we take a real-life humorous look at life in Lincolnshire, as well as interview some amazing people who are doing some fantastic things in the county. I'm Lizzie.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Hannah.
So how have we all been this week?
Well, I can't say cracking, can I? Because last time I said cracking, you all picked on me for being Yorkshire. So I'm tickety-boo, everyone.
Well remembered. I've had a great week, actually, because I've had loads of people jumping in and telling me how milk's okay to have with beans and toast, so I feel like I've got some support.
No, rewind, not loads, 2.
Yeah, and if you ask the right people, i.e. other weirdos, then of course you're going to get the right answer back. So I'm preaching to the converted.
I'd like to give a shout out to Raj, our head of community, who consistently has a glass of milk with his bean-related meals, and he was definitely pro for that. My dad, of course, the originator of the milk, and my brother. So I think they all count.
Oh, no, your dad doesn't count because he was the original person. So let's scratch that one off. And Raj doesn't count.
Trendsetter.
Raj doesn't count because he was probably didn't really hear what you said. He probably just agreed with it.
However, we have had some interesting, I would say, weirder food combinations. So myself and Hannah actually only today was talking to Ellie, who as a student was introduced, get this Danny, to this concept, Weetabix with butter on top and then Nutella. No milk at all.
Oh, what? No, the Nutella I'm on board with. To a degree, like if it's Fat Friday, I'm on board with that. But butter, like I don't have butter on barely anything. Like if I could get away without being butter on bread, I would do. Because butter's not good for you. Well, it depends what it is.
It's not really the butter element. It's more the fact it's just dry Weetabix.
It's cardboard. She is eating flavoured cardboard.
Wait, I thought there was milk with it.
No,
is that the only one?
Milk.
Is that the one thing that you don't have milk with?
I do have milk
Sunday
with my
dinner,
Weetabix.
accompanied by milk. McDonald's, milk. Domino's, milk. You know, I've never told you about what I would say is my weird, because I kind of kept it out last time, but conveniently, just let everyone bask in your weirdness. Cheese and jam on toast, which probably isn't that weird, is it?
Yes.
Cheese and jam on toast. No, so if you think about it, right?
What order are these in? What order?
It doesn't matter about the no.
No, it does. Interestingly, or that you should say that actually, Lizzie or Elizabeth. It does matter.
Like the old scone debate here.
It does
matter.
It does matter what order you put it in actually, because somebody a long time ago, right? So about 5 years ago, I told someone this, and I told someone to try it out, and then 4 years later, I spoke to this person and she reminded me that she tried it out, but like some sort of, weirdo, she tried it out and she'd not melted the cheese. So she just had a block of cheese with some jam on it on some toast. And she proceeded to tell me how wrong it was and how it wasn't very tasty. I was like, well, yeah. Of course it wasn't, because that's not what I asked you to do. So it was 4 years later.
The cheese has to go on top. Cheese always goes on top. It's the last one, surely.
No. So for 4 years, she thought I was like, she thought, I was, weird.
She was right.
You both said that, like reflex. But yeah, no. So what you do is you get the toast, and then you get your grill ready. And then you grill your cheese on your toast. As you would do normal cheese on toast.
That's not the order I thought you'd be doing it in.
No. Whoa. And then you put the jam on, but the jam goes on for only a little bit, okay? And then obviously you cut it up and you eat it. And honestly, but think about
jam.
it. Think about it. You have chutney. You don't have to warm the jam up, but I would say that just for consistency, it's better. Think about it. Chutney.
Mr. Michelin star over there.
All right, it's taken quite a long time to craft this level of expertise, but I've got that.
I would have thought it'd be like like a donut. So you'd have the jam in the middle, so it's a bit more like an oozy middle, and the cheese like seals the top off. Like if you're gonna do it, like
you know what, in the Carter chef's itinerary, we're quite inclusive, Lizzie. So if you really wanted to put the jam in the middle, then you can do. You crack on. And all feedback is welcome.
Food order, jam goes in the middle of stuff, and cheese is usually a topping. Like it's just.
Ooh. Is it?
Cheese is a topping. Yeah.
Not always. Do you not remember those
Other
little
than-
sticks
other
that
than
you
a
used to get at
sandwich,
a
of
party
course.
at school? Where, where you get the little cheese sticks. You could have a cheese with a pickle on it, or you could not pickled onion.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
they were a staple.
Best thing in a buffet, that.
Yeah, best thing at a buffet. Well, triangle
Oh,
sandwiches.
well, is that what you would bring back? Obviously, we're not talking, end product, what you would bring back, but old school, would you bring back the old school hedgehog, cheese and pickle buffet?
Has it left? Because I still have them in buffets.
Lizzie's still living in 95.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware it had left.
Here's Lizzie's circa 1995 buffet for your christening.
Don't need to bring it back. I'm still doing it.
No, to be fair, that's a good shout. I mean, the one thing I love a good buffet, and I love triangle sandwiches. Triangle sandwiches are just because you can eat about 24 of them and still think that you've not really eaten a great amount. But in actual fact, like if I was
24 would be what? That's that's 6 sandwiches.
Yeah, 6 sandwiches. But it doesn't feel like 6 sandwiches, and that's the important part. Well, it doesn't to me. Psychologically, I have triangle sandwiches, and I'm like, I'll have a bit of, this, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that.
Is that when you discovered cheese and jam combo? Did you accidentally mix up the jam sarnies, the cheese sarnies?
No, my
they all
uncle,
got cufferfulled at the end of a buffet.
My uncle passed it down. It's a family recipe, I think, but my uncle passed it down. Some people have really, really fancy family recipes, But
I can beat you on that family recipe, and it's not the milk debacle. So my family from Yorkshire, so Hannah should be on board with this. I feel like that. This is a Yorkshire tradition.
Oh dear.
My uncle, who's very Mr. Yorkshire, I like to call him, but he's very
he's the newest member of the Little
Mr.
Miss
Yorkshire clan.
I mean, he lives in Spain right now, but he's still Mr. Yorkshire. But he's very passionate about this. So they used to have, and bear with me, it's called butter biscuits. So it's a digestive with a layer of butter on it and a digestive on top.
No.
And it's a butter biscuit. So I think it's very old-fashioned. It's something like my gran did. But my uncle still likes it. The weird bit of it, and I promise you I don't do this bit, the weird bit out of it, there's a weirder bit, my mum dips it in a tea.
Yeah.
God. That sounds like...
So that makes a very buttery tea.
That sounds like diabetes on a biscuit. That's what that sounds like.
Not that much butter, like it's just a thin layer of it, but it gives an interesting combo of like salty, sweety.
Interesting, being the operative word.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm on board with it. I've had it before, and it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not something I'd ever recommend as being like a total delicacy.
It's not what you want as a snack, though, is it? Oh, it's not the worst thing in the world as a snack.
Something you should definitely not put in your tea, because you get a buttery tea. Who wants that?
You know what I'm going to settle down to on my Friday night? Not the worst thing in the world, not the best, but not the worst thing in the world. I'm not going to treat myself, but I'm also not going to treat myself like a prisoner. So somewhere in the middle.
Although on the biscuit front, there has been an absolute revelation of a discovery on the biscuit front, right?
Oh.
So I was talking with one of our colleagues.
Breaking news, folks. Breaking news.
It is breaking news, honestly. Like
breaking biscuit news.
Breaking biscuit news. So I was talking with one of our colleagues the other day, and this colleague is known as the master of the biscuit and the brew. Okay,
yep.
Like she
know which one you're talking about.
Already know who I'm talking about, don't you? We were talking about, like, because I was saying to her, you listen to last week's podcast and stuff like that. We were talking about things that we wanted to bring back. And at the same time, she was telling me about her Christmas present, which is an absolute revelation. So I said I might bring back, I was considering bringing back vintage biscuits, because they don't get the sort of praise that they deserve, like a good old jammy dodger and a bourbon.
Is that vintage? That still exists.
They still exist, but I don't think they get as much press.
Fresh. You're so fresh, Hannah, that apparently like cheese and pickled onion on a stick is old school to you, and jammy dodgers apparently are old school to you.
Jammy dodgers are still my favourite biscuit.
Still there,
but
I don't think they get enough press. Like they don't get enough press, because everybody wants all these newfangled blooming artisan things and stuff, and the old school biscuit doesn't get enough press. So I was like, I want to bring back old school biscuits, like proper Garibaldi old school biscuits. I want to bring back, and so
not back as into the supermarket, back into the limelight.
Back into the limelight, yeah. And she decided to reveal to me, and I have been online to check this out, and I've actually purchased some. So she revealed to me that not only can you get these biscuits online, you can now get giant versions of these biscuits. So she got these for Christmas. She has got a full pack of giant bourbons, and one bourbon is the equivalent of 5 little bourbons. Now, she's done the experiment and she's worked it out, but she's also had to buy herself an even bigger mug because you can no longer dunk the giant bourbon in a regular mug.
And you made me think of it, Jammy Dodgers. BNBNs. I used to love
Yes!
BNBNs back in the... That was my
Oh,
childhood.
great advert as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what we were talking about as well. Like, there's no really good adverts anymore, is there, for biscuits? Like, do you remember Milky Way advert with 2 cars and the Flake advert?
I don't know about you
that's
guys,
what we
but
said,
I never watch adverts anymore. Even the ones in a YouTube video. You know when they come up in the middle and they reckon they've got you? I'm always like, well, you haven't, because I put my phone down and walk off, and then I'll come back to it.
That showed them.
Yeah. All these commercialism sort of people.
Julian marketing will be really annoyed at that. Well, this week I went on a little adventure in the wilderness, accidentally. So I, at the weekend, met up for my prescribed hour of exercise in the wilderness with my brother who lives alone, so he can walk with me. And we went for a little walk around the Brig lands behind the garden centre, for all those from my neck of the woods that know it.
It's a good garden centre, though, isn't it? I love
good
that garden centre.
Good garden centre, yeah.
I sound like I'm older than I am, but I love a good garden centre.
I was just about to say, for the viewers over the age of 55.
It's a good garden centre for everyone. You just some nice grub in there in that cafe.
It does.
But yeah, so we went right around the back of it. There's some a nice walk. A nice walk that actually leads, if you go in the right direction, to Howsham, which is where our mum and dad live. So we thought, we'll go for a nice walk. We're not been before. We won't need a map. It'll be fine, because we know. Well, I've not got a sense of direction, but my brother does. And
there's your first clue, Sherlock.
We'll just head in that direction. We'll give him a wave from outside the house, and then carry on walking, and then turn around and walk back again. That was the plan. But we hit several points where apparently, so my brother tells me it's quite the avid outdoorsy guy, and he tells me that when you're on a public footpath walk, when you see the little sign, you're supposed to be able to see the next one in the distance, so you know which angle to go in. That's usually what happens. Not in Lincolnshire. In Lincolnshire, we've got so many fields. It appears we don't bother with as much of them as possible. And some of these paths are, you would think, at the side of the field, but they're not. They're in the middle and on a diagonal as well. And because it was very frosty last weekend, you couldn't quite see the path and stuff very well either. So first mistake we made was I said, and let's not look on Google Maps. It'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. First mistake. Second mistake was when there was a bit that went around a diagonal on the field, and I was like, oh, it's okay, because I think if we walk down the edge of the field, we know where we are, I think we should get there faster. Nah. What transpired eventually, after being lost for a little bit, but actually finding out where we were, because we did have to use technology to figure out that we were actually in Howsham, is you come in at the back of it and you can see the back of my mum and dad's garden on it, but we came at it at such the wrong angle that we could see said garden, but there was fields and farmers and houses in the interim, because obviously we're not going to go about garden hopping because that's illegal, and and you can't get there any, and they're all electrified fences and stuff like that. But we were lost. We were always on the wrong side of the ditch, which was very awkward. So we ended up going this ridiculously long way around to get to the other side of the ditch, and we're walking along into this wooden bit, and I'm getting scratched in the face by several bits of trees and stuff like that, and then we got to this clearing and we're like, yes, we're finally where we need to be, because we're just trying to get out of this field. We took about an hour trying to get out of this field, trying to figure out what the way out of this field was without having to walk 2 hours in the opposite direction back. And we got to this clearing, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is this is where we need to be. And then we discovered a gardener's fork, and I was like, why is there some gardening equipment? And then we realised we're accidentally in someone's backyard. So we're very quickly trying to go back through the knotted bit of woodland, and Richard goes, "Oh, we're not going all the way back round that way again. We could probably make it over this ditch." And I was like, "Can we make it over this ditch?" Richard was like, "Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll make it over this ditch." He definitely switches across over said ditch. I struggle, but manage to do it without falling in the ditch. He tries to get me out of it and then drops his thermos. I then turn around and be like, "Where's the dog?" Because she hadn't followed me over and she'd ran off. So then I had to jump back over the ditch, fall in the ditch as a result of it, because he wasn't so definitely the next time round going, "Rosie, Rosie, Rosie, where are you?" And she's just barking because she does not want to go over that ditch. She's an old 10-year-old dog, and she's like, no, not any chance am I doing that. Gave it a go, fell back down again. My brother pulls me out of it and he went, "I'll go get her." He pulls me out of the ditch. I got my hair stuck on a tree, so I'm scared. He goes back for the dog. He's handing me the dog out of the ditch. As she's very muddy, as I'm dragging her out with it. And then he gets back and we just look at each other going, "This wasn't the walk that we planned." covered in mud. I've got a wet foot. The dog is not impressed. And Richard's got a disgusting ditch thermos, which he then accidentally forgot about and drank out of.
So he don't have to worry about COVID, he's more bothered about cholera.
Long story short, 4 hours later we get home and I'm like, "Sorry, Johnny, it was a longer walk than I had planned." But I saw a lovely element of the Lincolnshire countryside. There was some ducks on a frozen lake that couldn't really navigate it. That was quite comical, but
in my head, that translates as, because I know you're both Lord of the Rings fans, that translates as, in Fellowship at Ring when Arwen, when it's that really tense scene where she's got Frodo on horse and Black Riders are behind her and she's going and Twig hits her in face and she's riding, and in my head it is the Lincolnshire version of that.
It's really hard to get out of a field in Lincolnshire, as it turns out. If you go off the beaten path, you get stuck in fields that you can't then get to. So we could see the road. It was so far away, but we couldn't get to it.
I feel like I spent most of my summer last year, when obviously that was one of the only things we could really do, getting lost in various different woodlands in and around Lincolnshire. Some beautiful places, to be fair, that I had no idea existed, but definitely getting lost in. When you were describing that, Hannah, I was thinking, I could imagine an audio book version of Hanna doing Lord of the Rings. So Arwen got on horse. And there were twigs in her face and everything. She thought, "I'll get Frodo and come on, Lord of the Rings. Get on there. Off to Mordor."
And on that note, shall we introduce our guest?
So today we've got with us Stacey Mitchell, who is the Regional Development Officer for the Golf Foundation, here to talk to us about everything about the Golf Foundation and also the North Links Lockdown Challenge. Welcome, Stacey.
Thanks, Lizzie. It's great to be here today.
Stacey, do you want to tell us all about the North Links Lockdown Challenge?
Absolutely. So we started the North Links Lockdown Challenge. It first come together literally as soon as the first lockdown was announced, the day one of this last lockdown was announced. So we have 5 local sports clubs, 4 sports in total: golf, martial arts, football, and athletics, all working together, and they are creating a weekly challenge for youngsters to get involved with. So each week, for initially a 4-week period, there is a roughly 2-minute video put online on the North Links website and also on social media. Youngsters can take part. We've made it very adaptive, so using equipment that you've got at home to take part in the challenges. And then you go online on the website and you will log your points. So there's a bronze, silver and gold medal system or point system, and then the points are accumulated each week, and we will then be awarding certificates, medals, giveaways, prizes based upon where you finish. It's really great to see the sports clubs and local organisations working together. So we have Barton Football Club, Barton Athletics Club, Brigg Football Club, Elsham Golf Club and the Martial Arts Club in Brigg all working together on this, and supported by Active Humber, Lincoln City Foundation and the Goal Foundation as well.
So that was it was actually your brainchild, correct me if I'm wrong. So what inspired you, I guess, to come up with it and pick those clubs as well?
I think for me, I'm very passionate about getting young people active. I think it's really important, generally anyway, with sort of all the stuff coming out around mental health and obesity. So I think I'm quite keen to make sure that we're keeping youngsters active. But I think as well, you know, I've always been one of these people who wants to give something back to the local community. The Martial Arts Club, funnily enough, on the Monday night, they quite often do live videos on their Facebook page, and they were sharing about sort of how they're looking to operate the next few weeks. And they said they wanted to give something back to the community, which got me thinking it would be great if we could get martial arts and golf working together. And then it got me exploring the other local sports clubs in the area, and sent a few messages out, and within 3 days we had a fantastic team of people that came together and met, very quick moving. So within the space of sort of 2 weeks we had everything together, and you know, I think it's fantastic that we've got such a proactive, enthusiastic team who are working on a common goal to bring this to local people of North Lincolnshire. So that's really probably how the challenge sort of come about. And I think what's brilliant is everyone's, you know, got stuck in, everyone's contributing, getting involved, taking on a bit of a responsibility in the challenge. And I think that's one of the key reasons why it's working so well. We've got an absolutely brilliant team there working to bring this to local community.
You know, a question that I wanted to ask Stacey was, after the Links Lockdown Challenge, what's the plan to sort of, and this might be stitching you up, and I apologise if it is, but what's the plan post lockdown to sort of, now that you've captured the imagination and sort of raised participation levels in each of the sort of 5 or 6 different sports and physical activities, what's the plan for afterwards?
So what we're planning on is when the youngsters get their certificate, they will get a voucher for a free taster session at the local clubs, so they can attend a free taster at any of the sports clubs. And then hopefully after that we will be able to engage those young people into some regular programmes down at those clubs. So you know, the clubs all offer different programmes. Some have memberships, you know, 5-6 week blocks, rolling sort of sessions each week. So that's what we're hoping for, to get, you know, local youngsters of North Lincolnshire into regularly participating in sports. I think there's some youngsters who already do other sports, so something a little bit different for them to get involved with. But I think for those who don't currently do much, it's a great way to get local youngsters physically active. I think both in the shorter term, in terms of through this lockdown period, but for the long term as well. We are also hoping to run a community day for those sports clubs and local organisations. So it's a great way to bring the community together. And I think that's a real key message of lockdown that we've seen in all sorts of places, is that it does really bring the community together. And I think that's kind of really powerful message that's come out of this. And I think that's where the Links Lockdown works really well, is that we've got sort of local sports clubs who maybe previously wouldn't have considered working together, actually, you know, coming together, linking with one another, working for sort of one key core message and aim, which is getting local people physically active.
That's really interesting, because obviously, like you said, lots of clubs and organisations often work in silos, don't they? Because it's competitive. But actually, we have such a huge problem in terms of inactivity, in terms of physical inactivity across the nation. That, you know, that model of only working by ourselves doesn't appear to have ever worked. Like, we need to have more of a connected kind of feel. And there's also loads and loads of evidence to suggest that multi-sport is a really good thing for young people. You know, rather than that early specialisation in one sport, but you know, multiple different sports. So that sounds fantastic. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the multi-sport approach is really interesting. I think it's one that in more recent times we've engaged with. But I think you're absolutely right. I think when they get to maybe teenage years, they start to specialise, and they've got quite a lot of commitments, and it's sort of like this. I think young people start to consider what do they want to focus on. But I think particularly in primary age, and as they're starting to get a bit older, it's really important to try different sports. I think that will also help young people exceed and excel within their sort of sport specialism longer term. We are really big advocates of our sport about trying to encourage young people to try different activities, because that will develop fundamental movement skills in young people, which will help them be successful at the sport when they do choose to sort of specialise.
I think I sort of mentioned something earlier on, Stacey, about that collaborative approach and how I guess unique that is, in that people generally speaking, clubs, organisations would work in silos in a way. Having seen it be seen such engagement in North Lincolnshire, I'm guessing that you would probably want that to sort of take place in other areas. But my question would be, not just what would you want to happen after lockdown, because you've answered that, but do you see that engagement through kind of online tools as something that you can continue to use post-lockdown, now that we're all so well versed in things like Zoom and Teams and things like that?
Definitely. I think online's more a way of where we're going now. I think if you think back to pre-lockdown, especially people who weren't au fait with using, programs like Zoom and Teams, even myself was a bit like, not very comfortable. But I think now, virtual seems to be the way we're going. I don't think it can, I still think there's a lot of value in face-to-face, and we talked about those sort of taster sessions in that coaching program. And I think there's definitely a massive need for that. And I think particularly this lockdown, we've got to get that balance right between virtual and screen time and that kind of physical, practical away from the screen. I think some of the feedback I've been picking up, particularly from parents recently, is that the kids are on the screen all day at school, and the last thing on an evening they want to be doing is sat in front of a laptop for an hour, maybe on a Zoom call or whatever. So I think we've got to get that balance right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right, really, about how the fact that virtual really open up a variety of doors for people. Because I think what it does when you do things virtually is that it removes that anxiety factor, I guess, that people get from like starting something new or going somewhere new or being around a whole different area. Because it just, I guess it feels a little easier when you're in your own home and still like doing it. So for some, I guess it's a barrier that's broken down that was maybe there before.
I think it's a really interesting topic, that, Lizzie. And again, I'm going to talk about my experience from starting kickboxing and being a new person to kickboxing. That what was really great about that is you can choose to have your camera off. So for somebody coming into a new sport, it can be quite daunting. I'm quite lucky that I've been around sports majority of my life, so I'm reasonably confident. Even I feel quite daunting going to a new sport. So no wonder how someone completely new to a sport would, feel. So I think that virtual element can overcome that, and it gave me confidence being able to, do it sort of in my own home, and being able to, the camera doesn't have to be sort of fully on you. And interestingly, when we started doing these virtual kickboxing classes, I couldn't get my camera in the right position. And what was really great is people couldn't see me not doing the kicks and punches right. So that was a real bonus of virtual. Didn't have to embarrass myself.
On that subject of virtual kind of sessions going on, a friend of mine, I was on the phone to him recently, and he was talking about his partner. And if I don't say names, he's absolutely fine. But it was absolutely hilarious. I was nearly crying with laughter. So he was talking to me about how his partner goes off in the other room, and on a certain weeknight, she'll do yoga, and he'll be sat there like playing FIFA. Sometimes I'll have a bash on FIFA with him, and he'll be there like playing FIFA or watching football or whatever. And she's doing her yoga, and apparently he said like one evening he knows what time it goes on. So let's say it goes on from 7 till 8. He's there at like sort of 8:15, thinking, she's not emerged from her room yet. That seems a bit odd. And as he started to walk through the house, he heard the yoga instructor on speaker saying his partner's name, saying, I nearly said it then, saying, repeating.
Let's call her Sarah.
Yeah, yes, Sarah. So the yoga instructor was going, Sarah, but like almost whispering it, not quite saying it really loud. So obviously, when he said his name.
And Jim.
Sarah and Jim. Yeah. Let's just call her Rosie and Jim.
I was just going to say Rosie and Jim, yeah.
So Jim is, oh my days. Jim is intrigued and he's thinking, what's going on here? He walks into the room. She's fast asleep.
Oh
So the instructor's been like kind of politely trying to get her attention. She's finished. I don't know what the yoga pose is, but she's finished in this one where it's like legs together or feet together, sorry, and you get really comfortable and you sort of lie down and it's the final bit where it's supposed to be like, deep breaths in, long breath out. And she's got that relaxed that she's fell asleep. And this is like,
that's amazing. I'm jealous. I wish I could do that.
So
what did he do? Did he just pick up the laptop and be like, I'll deal with this thing?
Well,
very
yeah.
much?
So he probably went in awkwardly and sort of just hi.
Oh my god.
Namaste.
Namaste. And it's gone like, yeah, but apparently he's gone in and she loves the yoga and just kind of gone, said her name and then he said it again, Sarah, and then woke her up. Yeah,
she must have been absolutely embarrassed for that next session when she came to that next session.
Well, I'll be really honest. She didn't want him to tell anyone, and he got in trouble for telling me, and now I've just said it on a podcast. So, but thankfully.
I do hope they're listening.
Oh,
Jim and Sarah.
Rosie and Jim. Just Sarah and Jim.
Rosie and Jim, yeah.
Well, yeah. I was crying with laughter when he told me. Because obviously knowing her as well and just thinking that would be hilarious.
Surely, as a yoga instructor, though, you'd be like, I've done my job there. Like, their job is to relax you.
I don't know if she originally thought she was asleep or not. Or she might have been something else.
Oh God. Well, yeah, as a yoga instructor, you wouldn't want that to happen. They got so relaxed that they cacked it.
Yeah, but funny.
Did he take a picture before he helped her out?
I don't believe he did, but I like what you're thinking. Like we could put a little.
Oh, well, then he's a stand-up gentleman, isn't he? Because my husband would absolutely have taken the picture, sent it out everywhere first before I'd even thought of waking me up and talking to the yoga instructor.
I can relate to that, Lizzie. That's happened to me a few times. Yeah, when it's
so she's got herself a gentleman.
When it's the other way round, they go mad as when we do it to them, don't they? It's not far in the other way, but when it's at us, it's okay.
Oh yeah.
That is fair. To be fair, that's pretty bang on, man. I was going to say that, obviously the golf element is really interesting because golf is a sport that, in terms of barriers to it, aside from maybe sort of money, there isn't necessarily too many barriers to it. In terms of physically, there's not a great deal of barriers to it in comparison to other sports. So it makes it much more of an inclusive sport in some ways, doesn't it? Or would that be right?
Definitely. I mean, we as a foundation, we really push golf as an inclusive sport. I think historically and even still now to this day, there are perceived barriers around sort of finance. You've got to go to a golf course to participate, certain dress code. I think there's a perception around it's still kind of an old man's rich person sort of sport. But actually, we've got to try and change that. And we're working really hard to try and sort of, turn those perceptions around. Golf is really accessible, but it's about opening people's eyes and finding ways to sort of break those barriers down. So actually, a lot of golf clubs provide, free equipment for people to try, keep hold of for a while until they want to invest in their own equipment. Lessons are really affordable. So I think from like a group perspective, you're looking at in Lincolnshire on average about £5 or £6 a group lesson, which is probably very much in line with other sports. Again, from a junior sort of coaching perspective, when they're learning golf, there isn't generally sort of, dress code barriers. They can wear what they want, whatever they're comfortable in. So, yeah, there isn't barriers there, but I think we've got to work hard to sort of change perceptions, because I think there is still a perception out there. I'd say some of those that I was talking about at the start, really. I mean, interestingly, when I say golf to you, what's your thoughts really on golf as a sport?
I've tried to play it before, and I don't think I'd be welcomed back because I made a lot of holes. I think it's something that you need a lot of hand-eye coordination, of which I do not possess.
I like the idea. I like the idea that you've gone and like created your own hole, and someone's gone, no. We have them already. Like there's a number for each one, and you've gone, oh right, that's what that's for.
But I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that would put me off. I quite like, what I like about golf is it's usually set in some sort of beautiful surroundings, which is the sort of the nice thing about it. So there is, there's a lot of walking involved. There's a lot of nice surroundings, like well-being wise. I think it's actually quite a nice sport to take up.
Go into the driving range. Go into the driving range is the best thing in the world, to just whack some golf balls and just get all your aggression out, all your upset, whatever it is. Just, when people are like, oh yeah, I thought it was my boss's head and stuff like that. I mean, I don't, because we love our bosses, don't we? Smooth.
Wow, please keep that in. It'd have been well awkward if I said that.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it, Daniel? But like before, when I had quite a stressful job, like, because this job is not stressful, like working with you lot is not stressful compared to other jobs that I've had. And when I lived in Barnsley, I used to go to the driving range all the time, just whack, and then come home and be like, like, that's my view.
I think that might have been just living in Barnsley.
I think golf is a therapeutic sport. I think can be quite a stress reliever. If you've been had a busy day, at work, you can go out, take a few clubs and just have a nice walk and sort of forget about what's been going on. And it's great in a summer evening when it's nice, it's warm, sunny weather, strolling along. It doesn't matter how good or bad you play, although that can be frustrating. If you don't have a good game, that can be stressful. And I think you mentioned about the driving range. I think that's great, just to go and whack a basket of balls. Doesn't matter how good you are, no one's judging you. You're just down there, having a great laugh. A few years ago, I took some friends down to the driving range, and it was the funniest, most enjoyable golf experience I had ever. They'd never picked up a golf club, but we had such a laugh, and it's one of those memories that will stay with me probably for a lifetime, because, trying to sort of teach and give them a few tips, it was just interesting, very interesting experience, but great fun.
I think you're definitely giving some parents some homeschooling ideas, that yes, I'm going to take the kids down to driving range, they can whack a few balls and have a bit of fun, and I'm going to take out my frustrations of homeschooling.
Is it interestingly, actually, is it something that is still being able to run during lockdown then, because obviously it's quite a solo sport, or is it something that you can...
Yeah, the golf courses, unfortunately, have got to shut at the moment, and sort of any golf facilities, driving range, pitch and putts, that sort of thing. But we are doing sort of online golf challenges and virtual activities. Some coaches are going into schools to help with sort of key worker pupils. So there's still, sort of pockets of activity happening around, which is great, really good. But it is one of those sports that I often don't think people realise it, but it can be done at home and we can adapt. So, creating paper golf balls, get your 2 sheets of paper, wrap them up around with some sellotape. The other day in my golf challenge, I used a sieve. I used my Pritt stick to tee my golf ball up, and used a sieve and chipped balls into a washing basket, which was very fun indeed. So it's one of those that, not as much golf activities happening as what has been, and I think there's a lot of sort of golfers who are itching to get back out there, but we can still sort of keep active at home. I think a few activities which, you know, what I would like to take the opportunity to say is, oh my God, the parents, you're absolutely amazing with what you're doing with homeschooling. You know, I can't begin to imagine how challenging it is for you all, but I think you're absolutely rocking it, and well done to you all. But I have seen some parents sort of adapting golf challenges and teaching youngsters about literacy and numeracy and some of the content that they've got to cover, they've used within sort of golf challenges. So sort of one of them is clock face. So put a mug in the middle, measure out a step away, and teaching youngsters about the time and reading clocks using the around the clock game. So I just think that's brilliant. Anything like that we can do with our sports to teach young people, and you know, in line with homeschooling, it is awesome. So yeah, well done to all the parents that are getting through this lockdown.
That made me feel quite emotional. I think one of my favourite phrases actually is my colleague, we've got a colleague called Kat who does a lot of online coaching stuff, and one of my favourite phrases probably from 2020 is during the first lockdown, she said, "Oh, look at how many of you used that video of me playing golf with a spatula and a sock in my garden." I was like, wow, that's a sentence I never thought I'd ever hear anyone say.
I love the innovation. I think what was really lovely to see when we came out of lockdown is the youngsters, and it gave a lot of young people, well, not just young people, but adults as well, it gave them a great way to get back into, you know, sport and being physically active. And like I say, it naturally does lend itself, golf, to being socially distanced, because you can have 2 or 4 people playing golf and not needing to come within sort of 2 meters of each other. And often people, even if they wanted to be near each other, couldn't, because we often hit our balls one side of the fairway and the other person hits the other side. So we'd really like to be, you know, within that close distance, but unfortunately we don't always control the direction the ball travels. So
I think if me, Hannah and Lizzie had a game of foot golf, we'd just end up shouting at each other because we'd be that far apart.
I don't think you'd let me back, Stacey, if I came to do it. There'd be too many holes in your course.
Hey, don't worry, Lizzie. You're meant to create divots, so that's quite all right. You're doing a good thing.
You'd be going past going, I can see Lizzie's been. Stamping them back in again.
Oh, my dad, interestingly, my dad has he's very well known for the size of his divots, or his holes, as you call them, Lizzie. Probably
Sorry, not using the technical term.
They are probably about 2 foot long, my dad's divots, and you know, about 10 centimetres wide. So yeah.
I feel less bad now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've learned a new word, divot.
He's played golf 40 years, so that makes you feel better.
Does it make me? I don't know if that means there's much improvement available for me then.
You momentarily felt really good then, didn't you? And then you were like, hold on a minute. Wait, he's been doing it 40 years and he's not any better.
He's not had your expert coaching, has he? That's what it is.
Absolutely.
I've been terrible because actually I'm supposed to send you this question ahead of time so you can pre-think about it as well, Stacey. Okay. So you're going to have to do it on the fly now. So we plan to ask every single one of our guests. This is only our second one, so that's why I've gone wrong here. But the same question. So if you were to have a dinner party and you could invite anyone you like, alive or dead, which 3 guests would you have and why?
By the way, Stacey, because Lizzie's like not giving you the time, it really is serious because it's locked in, and then they actually come. Like it actually happens. So if you get it wrong,
it's happening.
If you get it wrong, then yeah.
They're all turning up tonight.
Wow. I think first and foremost, we've got to have Orlando Bloom. Oh, yes.
You said his name wrong. That's not his name.
Hannah, what's his real name?
Orlando, innit? It's got you got
Orlando in it.
You can't have him and call him that. When he comes over, can you tell him that Hannah's a terrible person?
I'll just refer to him as Mr. Bloom rather, and then I won't get his name.
You can't call him Orlando at his dinner as his
His
guest.
own. I know.
No,
Hello, thank
very
you for
welcoming,
being
is
my
it?
guest. You're boring. You can't do that, can you?
No, look, we're out of time now to think of a next two.
Yeah, Stacey's like, keep going, guys. Keep going. Keep spinning it out.
That really helped. So Orlando Bloom would be number 1. Number 2, I think this is going to be slightly controversial. But Boris Johnson, so he can tell us what his plans are, because we don't know.
I can't believe you just dropped the Bojo bomb. Wow.
Oh no, sorry, that's probably not going to go down
I
very
think
well.
he would be there. It would be a good guess because
It would be a good guess, yeah.
His dad were on Thingamabob, wasn't he? Jungle. His dad were at Jungle, and he were a really good guy in Jungle, wasn't he? So I think it'd be quite cool. I'm with you on
I
that
imagine
one.
he's quite different once the cameras are off, I bet. So
I think it'd be a good
This is
dinner,
not.
yeah.
We're not allowed to talk about politics, so I'm going to stay well clear of this one.
we're not talking about politics, we're talking about him as an actual human being.
Him as an actual human being. I bet
Well.
he'd be
Do you want me to think of some other ones?
No. That would.
No. You can have him. You can have him.
Well,
We've not talked about whether we agree with his policies, so that's all good.
And a third one would have to be a golfer. I'd love to meet Ricky Fowler, which is a professional golfer.
This is nodding like I know who he is.
Hanna and Lizi both went.
Let me just. What were you saying again?
There was a slight delay, and then there was a.
American.
No,
do you know who he is, Danny?
I'm going to change that actually, though, because I would love to meet a female golfer as well. Someone who I've not met is Charlie Hull. I'd love to meet her. I think she's a great role model. And
Danny's searching her now to see if she's pretty looking.
Hey, I'm not doing anything. I'm professional.
She is. She's beautiful, actually. So, but no,
Right, now I am.
I've dropped that bomb in there. No, I think she'd be a really good person to have at a dinner party and hearing more about her story. She's young, she's energetic. I've seen her on telly a few times, and I think she'd be really, really great to have at a dinner party. So I'll summarise mine: Orlando Bloom, the controversial Bojo, and Charlie Hull.
What a dinner party that's going to be.
It's going to be a dinner party.
Variety of different flavours.
Not sure how that would go down, and if any of them would actually get on with one another. But yeah, definitely.
Well, we said this last week, Stacey. It's not about them. It's your guest. It's your dinner party. So they don't need to get along. It's all about you.
Yes.
We'd have to address Orlando Bloom's invitation with Legolas.
Yeah, he'd have to come dressed as Legolas.
Yeah, Legolas. Yeah.
And not what was his name in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Will Turner.
I don't even know.
Will Turner.
Turner. I love that name though. I mean, I know I'm not a fan, Hannah, but yeah, Will Turner.
Strong name. Yeah.
Stacey,
Strong name.
Stacey, his name's Orlando Bloom. You can't get much cooler than that. And you've gone, well, I prefer him as old William Turner. Just classic
William
British.
Turner, who loves Elizabeth, I'd like to point out.
Yeah, not you.
But he's called Orlando Bloom. That's a seriously cool name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else called Orlando actually on that.
No.
No,
Very American, I think. Is he American?
No, he's British. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Brit. Yeah.
Oh, that'll definitely be a bit controversial for a few Orlando fans.
Yeah, actually, we have a lot of Orlandos that listen to the podcast, so they're going to be outraged.
I'm really sorry. And that's really bad considering I was an absolute huge fan of him when I was younger. That's really bad that I didn't know he was British.
They didn't know he was British.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Huge fan, massive fan. Didn't know he was English, but a massive fan.
Well, it has been great to have you on, Stacey. Before you
Thank you
go,
very
would you like to
much.
give us a good some links, basically? How can people get involved with the North Links Lockdown Challenge, and how can they get involved with the Golf Foundation?
Absolutely. So, the Golf Foundation, the website is golf-foundation.org, and you can contact me at stacey@golf-foundation.org if you wish. We are on social media as well. In terms of the North Links Lockdown Challenge, it'd be fantastic to get you all involved with that. So the website is nlinkslockdown.wixsite.com/challenge. Be great to get you all involved with that.
I will put all those links in the description too.
Really interesting topics that we've covered there, and some exciting things that you can get involved in from Stacey. Fantastic. Right, so now it's time to zip over to Ollie and Iona, who are discussing some ever controversial topics related to food and a certain topping on pizza.
Right, okay, so we're going to be talking about food and controversial food topics today, Ollie. We've got quite a few. I think some of them are very, 90% of the things that I eat, I think are quite normal, but apparently some of them are quite odd. And I think you've got a couple as well.
Yeah, I've got a fair few here.
Right, okay. Tell you what, we'll start off easy, we'll start off nice, right? What is your opinion on pizza? Because I prefer pizza cold than I do warm. Pizza next day, after a takeaway, okay? 10 times better. I will eat cold pizza all day long.
That's like a 50-50 thing.
I love it, honestly.
I don't know. Do you want pizza cold? Well, no, it actually is nice cold, but I'd rather have it hot.
It's so good. No. Cold pizza, right? You have pizza the day before, then you save at least half of it, have it at lunch the next day. Gorgeous. Do you know what? Even add stuff to it. That's another thing. You can have it the next day and just add a bit of I don't know, what can you add to it? Like barbecue sauce. You can, next day pizza, so much better. I can back that. Leftovers all day long.
You know what? I think I'm going to have to agree with your thing there. Now thinking about it. But if you had to choose one, which one would it be? Cold or hot? If it had to be one.
Do you know what? Depends where it's from. Because oven pizza, I'd say hot, but takeaway pizza, cold. Unbeatable cold. Yeah, cold every day of the week.
Factuals right there. Am I gonna go or?
Yeah, hit us with something.
Okay, so it's actually on the board. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Are you joking?
Bloody love it, honestly. So good.
No.
Yes.
Pineapple.
Honestly. And don't even hit me with fruit on pizza because I can back that.
Why? What do you have? Banana, strawberries, grapes on it, bit of blueberries on it as well.
Tomatoes are fruit. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I can. Yeah, any food with seeds in it, I swear is a fruit.
That's a tomato. It's not pineapple. There's two different. They're a fruit, but they're just two different genres. No,
it adds so much to it. Pineapple on pizza. I mean, the pizza's got to be cooked good though. You can't have half done pizza with pineapple on it. But pineapple on pizza, get a bit of I don't know, anything. It complements it.
But if you had half done pizza, I'd be a bit
well, no,
scared.
But some people don't cook it right.
Well, then I'm concerned.
I don't eat half cooked pizza, but sometimes you don't control who's cooking your pizza, and if someone doesn't do it right, then pineapple no. But pineapple on pizza, gorgeous.
No, we can't be friends after this.
That's it. I'm sorry. That's the end of the podcast. We're gonna have to
end it there. Right, guys. Thank you for listening. Right, you go on then. You go.
Right. Okay. Marmite. What's your thoughts on Marmite?
No, can't do it. Marmite and what's the other one? Vegemite or whatever it's like that.
Vegemite's
No.
awful. Marmite.
No.
I like Marmite. That's like one of my guilty pleasures. Is Marmite.
You're so weird. Why do you like
Honestly.
pineapple pizza and Marmite? Well, not at the same time.
Not
I hope
together.
not.
Imagine now. Then I could come back
That's
to you
like-
and say that's actually really nice.
That's worse than Lizzie's with beans on
That's a
toast with
question.
milk.
Has anyone tried Lizzie's beans on toast with milk? Because I think it needs to be tried.
I've let down the team. I was supposed to have it, and then I didn't have any beans in the cupboard. Like, who doesn't have beans?
That's
Like,
that's
in the
ridiculous.
house.
That's ridiculous. A staple part of my cupboard. If you don't have 15 tins of beans in the cupboard, you've got something wrong. That's
I must have something wrong
awful.
with your mum.
That's really upsetting, actually.
Now, here's one that I've had before
hmm
a while ago, and it's not really a food. It's actually, well, it used to be a food, but now it's turned into a drink. What is your opinion on like vegetables and things going in a smoothie?
Ooh, depends.
I think it's disgusting.
It's a weird one. It depends what my mindset's like. If I want a smoothie that actually tastes nice, then no chance at all. Minging, awful. If I'm like trying to make myself feel healthy, I'm like, oh, do you know what? I'll put a little bit of kale in there to spice things up a bit, make myself feel like I've eaten like healthy stuff.
Spice things up a bit.
Spice
Kale
things
tastes
up a
like
bit.
paper.
Kale, or like a bit of what else do you put in spinach? Spinach makes it go brown really quickly though. I went over a phase in school where I'd bring a smoothie to school and everyone would think I'm a minger because when I'd leave the house it was pink. By the time I got to school it was like a weird like grey. It looked awful.
Yeah, I think that's just turned mouldy in a matter of seconds.
It's the vegetables in it. But you know what, actually? Carrot in a smoothie is very nice. Try that.
I don't know. You know, I'm going to have to... I say I'm going to try it. I'll do shots, you know? shots of smoothies.
Do a video special of the podcast with just loads of different smoothie shots.
Yeah, drink responsibly, kids. Go on then. Give us another one.
This is just a general question because apparently this is controversial. It's not even controversial. What do you have for your chips when you go to the chippy? What do you put on them?
Well, it's obviously salt and vinegar. You got to have salt and vinegar.
Yeah, I can back that. But what
If you-
salt
What, like... I'm a pretty... I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling. Like sometimes you have curry sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have some like cheesy chips.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes gravy and cheesy chips. Say no more.
You see, I'm not a gravy. Gravy and chips does not mix with me. I will put gravy on literally anything, but chips, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. Like, this is like I don't know. This is just is this weird or not, right? Gravy and broccoli is a snack. I found myself at one point in lockdown, 2 a.m, hungry, went downstairs and just made myself a portion of broccoli and covered it in gravy and just ate it. That was like the highlight of my lockdown.
Just broccoli and gravy.
Yeah. I mean, it was 2 a.m. and I was hungry and I just fancied a snack. I was like, do you know what would hit really, really good right now? Broccoli and gravy. Unbelievable.
So people that are listening, I feel sorry for that you have to listen to this.
It's
The broccoli
incredible.
and gravy. Don't ever try this.
You have it with meals. You just have it with a bit of like meat substance.
You don't have it on its own. You don't just go, you know what? I'm really craving some broccoli and gravy right now. I'm going to go eat some. Like, I love broccoli. I love it.
Yeah.
Especially when you get the expensive one, but that's probably because it's expensive. But that is nice, but I won't have it as a snack personally.
No, a jug, right? It was like a jug, and it was just like it was like a whole broccoli. It was a whole broccoli.
You just had a
And
whole
just
broccoli.
A whole broccoli with gravy. I cooked the broccoli, obviously, and it was honestly, I think that might be one of the highlights of my lockdown. I was so happy with myself. I was like, wow, look at this. I have just revolutionised snacking. It's probably pretty healthy as well.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's a low calorie, very nice snack. You
If you're on a
can't
calorie
really ask for
deficit,
more.
then you're fine.
Exactly.
Calorie deficit. I mean, I doubt you won't survive with broccoli and gravy.
Yeah, that's probably not ideal, but
So
good
there we
snack.
go. You know what? I was going to say I was going to try it, but
Please
I
do.
kind of have it. I have some self-respect, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that to myself.
Make sure you do it at a really... No, I think you should try it, but make sure you do it at like a really odd time. You've got to do it when you're like, wow, lockdown's so dull. It adds to the effect.
3 a.m. challenge, broccoli and gravy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
One more thing, right? Yeah, sorry. I just thought of this completely out of the blue, and I don't know if you've got any more, but food tastes better outside. That's my statement.
What?
Food for sure tastes better when you eat it outside. I will eat anything. Eating outside will just make it 10 times better, whether that's chocolate or like a full meal. I can't name one food that tastes better indoors than it does outdoors.
No, that's not how it works.
I think it is. I think the air must make it taste good. But honestly, you need to try it. This is another thing. You need to go away and try these things because I've got full theories behind this. It tastes about 10 times better outside, for sure.
No. I think everyone can agree with me. Everyone that's listening, even Lizi, who will edit this, will be sitting there just rolling her eyes at the fact that you think eating outside, you say tastes better.
Yeah, it does, honestly. And I'm sure Lizi will back me on this, actually. I'm sure every single person will back me on this.
Oh,
It's
she might do.
something to do with being the air. The air will make it taste better. But honestly,
The air.
Yeah.
Oxygen that's around you 24/7.
Outside air. It's a different kind of... It's a different gravy.
Oh, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how you follow that. I mean, wow, I've learnt some new things. I've genuinely learnt some new things, like genre of fruit. What is a genre of fruit? Right, okay. I might just
Is
do
it
it.
like a vegetable? Can you have like a root vegetable?
I've gone my whole
Can
life
you have a root fruit?
not knowing there were genres of fruit.
I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on that. I'm dead proud of them, where they've sort of come from and where they're going to in terms of their discussion. Yeah, I mean, yeah, genre of fruit, 15 cans of
fruit.
beans.
I'd like to pose the question of why am I being a baseline? Why am I a baseline for weirdness?
Well,
I mean, unofficially, you've been mine and Hannah's baseline for weirdness for a long time.
They are pinning their thoughts on whether eating food outside is a good or a bad thing, or whether
Right.
I find it weird or
No.
not. So the pressure is on here, and I'm going to come out here and say it. Sorry, Iona, I don't really see the difference.
I do though. I actually, right, so no,
Sorry, what?
hear me out, right? I genuinely think that she is onto something. I don't think the food tastes different, because that would be like physically and from a chemistry point of view impossible. But when you're outside in summer and you sat in your back garden and you're eating your meal, you just feel better in yourself, don't you? Like, I love to sit out in our back garden, probably because I live in Mordor and there is nothing around to bother me, nothing there, apart from my neighbour's pigeons that usually poop on me. You don't know whether it's mayonnaise or bird poop.
But sometimes it does taste different.
It does taste a bit different. No, so I'm with her on that I don't think the food tastes different, but it's a nicer experience to eat al fresco.
So you're going for more, it's, you know, the endorphins of being outside influences the food. However, at no point did she actually mention that it was that it's just summer. Like, she...
Oh, man, no.
From what I took from that, you literally could be eating a meal and you could just go outside and suddenly it's more delicious.
Yeah. Suddenly.
Because I get, like, barbecue food and stuff like that. That's nice and tasty.
Yeah.
It's not the same as eating, like, walking around your house eating a burger.
Yeah.
It's not the same as walking around socialising eating a burger.
Exactly, yeah.
But she didn't say that. So I'm not quite sure if that's what she meant.
No, well, I definitely don't think that eating a piece of kale in house and you open the door and go outside and it tastes like a Mars bar, that's definitely not what it tastes like.
Could you imagine if that was true? Diets would be so much easier. Just eat them outside.
The broccoli and gravy was the thing that threw me for a number of reasons. One, because like I eat healthy a lot, but like a snack for me is not broccoli It's not broccoli. And also, there's a bit of prep time there. She said she prepped the gravy and she prepped the broccoli. She cooked the broccoli. And I was like, well, halfway through that, surely you would have gone, this isn't a good idea. And gone, like, I'm just going to get a chocolate bar or something like that. Like, but she's prepared it. She's prepared a snack in the middle of the night. And that snack isn't like chicken nuggets or, something like that. She's prepared broccoli and gravy.
That's the healthy option, though, isn't it?
Gravy? Is it?
Is gravy healthy?
Nah, gravy's not healthy. Gravy's definitely not.
Flour based, isn't it?
Flour.
Is it carby? I feel like it's carby.
Carby. Genre.
By the way, if you really are gonna, have gravy with something, this is one of the main things I didn't agree with her in. Chips and gravy. That's just a northern staple. Like,
Hannah grew up on that. That was literally like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for her growing up in Yorkshire.
Gravy. That's me some
we
gravy.
having for tea tonight.
Yeah.
Chips and
gravy.
gravy.
I
have gravy.
have to say, Ollie, damn, right, cheese. Cheese. Gravy. Yeah. It's called poutine in Canada, I believe. That's what it's called.
What's with you throwing big words out again?
I only know that because my brother served in the forces, and when he went on to a tour to Canada area, he came back with poutine. That's what it was called. And he said, I mean, I was a teenager at the time, and he was like, I'm going to make you this dish. It's called poutine. And obviously, I was like, absolutely not. Like, it sounds horrific. But it was delicious. It was just cheese, gravy, and chips. Absolutely amazing.
So, I guess now that we've kind of discussed our students' wonderfulness, I guess it's time for us to sort of end, and just want to let everyone know that midweek this week, so just after the podcast will arrive on Sunday, we've got a homeschooling special, which hopefully you'll listen to and potentially find useful, or you might relate to in some way or another.